Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more coding tutorials. We are on day 10 of our 30-day pattern challenge. And today's pattern is all about printing a right angle triangle aligned to the right. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. So in the VS Code, our question is already mentioned. What is the question? We have to write a JavaScript function to print the following pattern. And this is the pattern which we are supposed to get. So we will come here and we are just going to break down our question. So we have to write here what JavaScript function. So I will take this and I'm going to put it over here. After that, what is the next important part here? We have to print a following pattern. And what is that particular pattern? It is nothing but a right angle triangle pattern, right? So I will just write it over here. What it is? Right angle triangle we have to print, and this particular pattern is aligned to the right as well, right? If we can see, it is aligned to the right. Okay, so that is what we have to print. And here we are going to keep our function name as what? Print pattern. So that is what I am going to write it with a parenthesis. Okay, now we will come down and we are just going to write our approach. So I will write here approach. So to get this particular output, we will be now following certain approach. Okay, first of all, we are going to create an str variable. So that is what I will write it over here. Now, why I need this variable? To hold our final output, right? So I will just write here what? For holding our final output. Okay, now we will come down and what we are going to write here? We will just declare it. Let str is equal to double quotes. So we are initializing this with an empty quotes. Okay, now in this question also, we are just going to use here what? Nested loops. Okay, and here as well, we are going to use two loops. That is our outer loop, we are going to use it, and there will be an inner loop. Okay, so I will just write it over here, our outer loop and our inner loop. Okay, now what this outer loop is going to do? It is going to control our number of rows. Okay, so just let me write it over here. It is going to control number of rows, and our inner loop is going to control what? It is going to control our number of columns. Okay, now we will assume here that our outer loop will be what? It will be our I loop, and our inner loop will be what? It will be nothing but our J loop. Okay, so that is what I will write it over here now. Now, since we know we have to use a nested loop, so what is a nested loop? Loop inside and loop, and here are going to use what? Outer loop and our inner loop. Okay, now let us go above and we will take this particular pattern and we are going to analyze how many rows we have, how many columns we have. Okay, so I will just put it over here like this, and this will be our first row, then this will be our second row, this will be our third row, and this will be our fourth row. Okay, and if we see who is going to control our rows, it will be our I loop. Okay, so I will just put it over here that all the rows are going to be controlled by our I loop. Okay, now we will see how many columns we have. Okay, so this is our first column. Okay, if you see, this is our first column, then this is our second column. Okay, after that, this is our third column. Okay, after that, lastly, this is our fourth column. So that is what I am writing it over here. So in total, we have 4 rows and we have 4 columns. Okay, and who is going to control this? It is going to be controlled by our J loop. Okay, so that is what I have written it over here. Now here, let us see the printing also what we have. Okay, so in the first row, we have just 1 star printing. Okay, so I will just write it over here that we have 1 star. In the second row, how many star we have? We have 2 star. Okay, so I'm just writing it over here, 2 stars. Now, after that, how many star we have in this particular row? We have 3 star. Okay, so that is what I am writing it over here. After that, how many stars we have? We have 4 stars. Okay, so this is what we have noted down. But if you see here carefully, there is one more thing inside this. What is that? Here, along with the stars, if you see, there is a spacing also which has been there in front of them, right? Here we have spacing as well. So now if you see here, we have 1 spacing. Okay, here we have 1 and 2. Here, how many spacing? 1, 2, and 3. So here we have 3 spacing. So that as well, we are going to note it over here. So in this case, we have how many spacing? We have 3 spacing, right? We have seen that. This is our first spacing. This is our second, this is our third. After that, here how many spacing? 1 and 2, right? So here I will write what? We have here how many spacing printed? 2 spacing. So let us write it over here, print 2 spaces. And lastly, here how many spacing we have? Here we have 1 spacing. That is why I'm saying lastly, okay? Now after that, if you see down, we have no spacing. That is why this was our last spacing, okay? And here there is 0 spacing. So we can just write here print 0 spaces, okay? Because there is no space here, okay? So here itself in this particular 3 rows, we have our spaces and we have our stars as well. So we will have to write a logic wherein we are printing our star and where we are printing our spaces also, okay? So that is what we have to do now. After this, let us see where this our I loop is going to start and where it is going to end, okay? And similarly for our J loop also. So here I am writing our I loop and here J loop, and here I am going to write what? Start hyphen. And here I am going to write what? End hyphen, okay? And the same thing I will be writing it for our J loop also, okay? Now it is going to start at where? It is going to start at 1 and it is going to end at where? 4. So I will write here what? 1, and here I am going to write what? 4. And we will write here what? N is equal to 4. So we will see that our end value, whatever is there, we are going to store it inside our N variable, okay? Now for our J loop also, it is going to start at 1 and it is going to end at where? 4. So I will write here what? Start hyphen 1, end hyphen 4, okay? And I'll write here what? N is equal to 4, okay? Now let us see how in our structure we are going to write it, okay? So I will write what? I is equal to 1, I should be less than or is equal to N, and I plus plus, okay? Now for the J loop, we are going to write what? J is equal to 1. J is less than or is equal to N, and J plus plus, okay? This is what we are going to write, okay? Now our J loop, we know it is going to help us to print our final output, right? So I will just write here print, okay? Now here we have to make sure whatever we are printing here, we have to print our space and our stars as well, right? So this is going to print what? It will be printing stars and space, but it will be printing conditionally, okay? So that condition also we will have to check it out, okay? Now let us see what is the condition we are going to write. So I will write here what? J less than or is equal to N minus I, okay? That is what we are going to write, okay? Now if this condition turns out to be true, then we are going to print here what? We are going to print here our space, okay? And if this condition turns out to be false, then we are going to print what? We will be printing here our star, okay? That is what we are going to do. Now let us see for the one-time execution how it is going to be there, okay? I am going to explain you inside the working after this, but first let us just understand for the particular condition, okay? So I will write here what? I will be 1, okay? And our J will be 1. So in that case, what will happen? So 1 less than or is equal to N minus I. That means our, it will be what? 4 minus our I. That is nothing but our 1, correct? So it will be finally what? 1 less than or is equal to, it will be what? 3. So for this particular condition, what it is going to be? It is failing, right? Because 1 is not less than 3 and it is not is equal to 3. So here it is failing and therefore it is going to give us here what? Our space, okay? Now similarly, when J becomes 2, so this condition will change, right? It is going to become what? 2 less than 3 now. Again, if you see 2 is not less than 3, right? That is why it is again going to fail and it is again going to give us the spacing. So if you see more or less we are getting the spacing, right? So that is where we are going to use this particular condition. We are going to see this in depth, but I just showed you an explanation why we are using this condition over here, okay? Let us come down and we are just going to write our structure, and after that we are going to go for our working for the better understanding purpose, okay? So first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to write here our for loop. So first for loop, that is our I loop. So I will write here what? Let I is equal to 1. I is less than or is equal to N, and I plus plus, okay? Now inside this we are going to write our J loop also. So here I will write what? For let j is equal to 1, j is less than or is equal to n, and j plus plus, okay? Then flower braces, and now inside this we have to write our condition for that, which we can get spacing and stars both, okay? So that is what I am just taking it here, and I am going to just note it here, okay? Now here I am going to put one if condition, okay? Now inside this condition, what I am going to put, our j is less than or is equal to n minus I we are going to put. And if this turns out to be true, then here we are going to concatenate what? We will be concatenating our space, okay? I'll just put it like this. So here I will write what? str plus is equal to empty space, okay? And if this condition turns out to be false, then what we are going to do? We are going to concatenate our star, okay? So I will just write here what? Concatenate our star, okay, like this. Now let us see here what we are going to write. So I'll write here what? str plus is equal to our double quotes, and inside that our star is going to come, okay? Now once after all this execution, our J loop execution is completed, then here what I am going to write? I will be writing here what? str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n. This we know, right? Why we are doing it? Because we want our cursor to be taken to the next line after each J loop execution completion, right? That is what we are going to do. And once it is done, we are just going to print our final str variable, right? That is what I am just going to write it over here. Now below this, let us understand the working, because we have understood and we have analyzed what is there inside our pattern, right? How many loops, how many stars it is going to print, how many spaces it is going to print, each row we have understood that, right? After that, we have also understood that where it is going to start, where it is going to end, how conditionally we are going to print, and the same thing we wrote it here inside our condition, okay? Now let us come down and we are just going to work on our working of it. That means our execution we are going to see. So I will write here what? Our working, okay? So just let me write it over here, working. Now, first time our I value is what? 1. So let us take this I is equal to 1. I is less than or is equal to n, and I plus plus, okay? So just let me put it over here. So I'm just going to write it here like this, okay? Now let us substitute the values inside this. So what it will be? I is equal to 1. So here we will have 1, and here we will have what? 4, because n is equal to 4, right? So now this condition is going to be true because 1 is less than 4, right? So that is why this condition turns out to be true. And now since this condition is going to be true, it is going to execute our J loop, right? So I will just take this and I am going to write it over here, okay? And after that, what it is going to do, once this execution turns out to be true, then it is going to be do what? It is going to execute our if condition also, okay? So I will just take this if condition also from here and I will just put it over here. If it is true, it is going to execute, okay? So that is what I am going to write it over here like this, okay? After this, now let us see, is this condition is true or not? So we will substitute the values here. J is equal to 1, 1 less than or is equal to 4. Now this condition is what? This condition turns out to be true, okay? Now therefore our if condition is going to execute. Now what is our J value? It is 1, right? What is our N value? It is nothing but our 4. What is our I value? It is nothing but what? It is right now 1, correct? So therefore what we are going to get? 4 minus 1 is nothing but 3, right? Now check the condition. Now if we check the condition, 1 is less than 3 or not, it is true, right? And since it is true, it is going to give me 1 space, okay? After that, what it is going to happen? After that, it is going to increase our J value, correct? That means J is going to become what? It will be 2, right? Now let us test the condition. 2 is less than or is equal to 4. It is true. So therefore it is going to go for our if condition execution. Now here what we will have in place of 1, it will be 2, right? Because what is our if condition? It is nothing but j is less than or is equal to n minus 1, right? So I will just put here that as well, okay, for our safer side, okay? So that I'll just put here what is the condition like this, so we can refer it at any point of time, okay? Now, if we see here, 2 is less than 3. Yes, it is less. So this turns out to be true, and that is why we are getting what? One more space, okay? After that, what it is going to happen? J plus plus, right? So J value is going to be 3, right? So 3 less than or is equal to 4. Still it is true because 3 is less, right? So here we will have what? 3 less than 3. Now, if you check here, 3 less than or is equal to 3. Now, still here, the condition is true. Therefore, we are getting here what? Space, okay? After that, what it is going to become? It is going to become our j is equal to what? 4, right? So I will write here what? J is equal to 4, okay? Then here we will have what? Now here we are going to have what? 4 less than or is equal to 4. So it is going to be true, right? So still this is true. Therefore, it is going to be execution for our if condition. So we will have here what? 4 less than or is equal to 4 minus 1, that is 3. Now, if you see this condition is false because 4 is not less than 3, neither it is equal to 3. Therefore, now we are going to get here what? 1 star. So, if you see first time what we had 3 spaces and 1 star, and that is what we are going to get it, okay? Now, after that, what will happen? J value is again going to increase, okay? So, we will write here what? J is equal to 5 here, and 5 less than or is equal to 4. Now, if you see this condition turns out to be false, right? And therefore, if condition is not going to execute, and hence here itself our loop is going to terminate. And since it is going to terminate inside our str, what it is going to concatenate? It will concatenate 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, and then it is going to concatenate finally our star. So this is what is our first time execution when I is equal to 1, okay? After that, our I value is going to increase, right? So we are just going to write here what? Our I is equal to what? 2, and here we will write what? 2 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if you see here, 2 is less than 4, and therefore it is going to execute our J loop, right? So what we have? J is equal to 1, right? And J is less than or is equal to N. So I will just take it from here, and the same thing it is going to work, right? So I'll just write here what? J is equal to 1 and 1 less than or is equal to 4. Now if you see 1 is less than 4, right? So therefore it is going to be true, and now it is going to execute our if condition, that is nothing but this, right? So we will write here what? It will be 1 less than or is equal to 4 minus 2, because I value is what right now? 2. So 4 minus 2 is what? 2, correct? So therefore, if you see here, now this condition is what? 1 less than or is equal to 2. So 1 is less, right? Therefore, it is going to be true, and it is going to give me what? 1 space, okay? After that, what it will happen? J value is going to increase again, right? So we will have the same thing, execution. J is equal to 2, right? And 2 is less than or is equal to 4, and it is going to be true here again, correct? Now, what it will be here? It is nothing going to be what? J value, right? That is nothing but 2. Now 2 is less than or is equal to what? 4 minus 2. And here I will just put what? 2, 4 minus 2 is what? 2. Now if we check the condition, what it is going to be? It is going to be true here. Why? Because 2 is not less than 2, but it is equal to 2, right? So therefore we are going to get here what? 1 spacing, okay? Now, after that, what it is going to happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So, let us write it over here. J is equal to 3 and 3 less than or is equal to 4. Then if we check the condition, 3 is less. Therefore, this is going to be what? True, okay? Now, here we have to put our J value. Now, if we see 3 is less than or is equal to 2, no, it is false, right? So, therefore, I will write here what? False. And if we see here, when it is false, we need what? Star printing, right? So therefore we are going to print here what? 1 star, okay? After that, what it is going to happen? J is going to become what? 4. So I will write here what? J is equal to 4. 4 is less than or is equal to 4. Now here again the condition is true because 4 is equal to 4, right? So therefore, it is going to execute our if condition. So here we will have what? 4 is less than or is equal to 2. Here also it is going to be false, and therefore we are going to get here what? 2 star printing. So if we see, we have here 2 star printing and 2 space printing. Let us go above and check. So we can see here we have 2 star and we have 2 spaces, correct? Now after that, what it is going to happen? Our I value is again going to increment. So we will just write it over here what? I will be what? It will be nothing but 3, and here it will be what? 3 is less than or is equal to 4 and I plus plus, right? So if we just test the condition here, it is what? It is true, right? Therefore, it is going to execute our J loop, and I am going to just take it from here. Why? Because J is going to start from 1, okay? So J is equal to 1. 1 is less than or is equal to 4. It is true, correct? So that is what I am just writing it over here now. After that, what will happen? Since it is true, what will happen? It is going to go for our if condition execution. So here it will be what? 1, and here it will be what? 4 minus 3. That is nothing but what? 1. And if we see, 1 is less than or is equal to 1. So 1 is equal to 1. Therefore, this condition is going to be what? True, and therefore we are going to get here what? 1 spacing, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is going to increase again. So it will be what? J is equal to 2 here. 2 is less than or is equal to 4. Now 2 is less than 4, right? Therefore, this condition is true, right? And here what we are going to write? We are going to write here 2. Now 2 is less than is equal to 1. No, 2 is not less, 2 is not equal, right? Therefore, we will get here what? False. And finally, we will get here printing what? Our star, okay? After that, what it is going to happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So J will become what? 3. So I will write here 3. 3 is less than or is equal to 4. Yes, 3 is less. Therefore, this is going to be true. And now here it is going to execute our if condition. So here it will become what? 3 is less than or is equal to our 1. So here again the condition is failing, right? And therefore we are going to print here what? 1 star, okay? After that, our J value is going to again increase, right? So J is equal to 4 we are going to write, and here we will write what? 4 is less than or is equal to 4, and here if we see, it is again true because 4 is equal to 4. So here we are going to write what? 4, and if we test the condition 4 is less than or is equal to 1, it is failing. Therefore, we are going to print here what? 1 more star. After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase, right? So J will become what? 5. So I will write here what? J is equal to 5, and here we are going to write 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now here the condition is going to fail, and therefore it is going to terminate here itself. And then what we are going to write here? We will be storing inside our str variable inside that 1 spacing and then 3 times our star, okay? Here also let us check, and when J becomes 5, what it is going to happen? When I is equal to 2, we know that it is going to terminate itself, right? So I will just take this from here, and when J is equal to 5, it is going to terminate, okay? So that is what here as well I will write. And what we will have inside this? 1 spacing, 2 spacing, and then 2 times it is going to print our star also, right? That is what we are just going to write it over here. So this is what we are going to write. So this is what we have written, and we are getting the same thing, okay? Now, let us see the above execution. So here if we see, we have 3 stars and we have 1 star. Above we have 2 star and 2 spaces, right? So till now all the execution is properly doing. In the first time, 3 spaces, 1 star. Here 2 spaces, 2 star. And here 1 spacing, 3 star, right? So exactly whatever we wanted, we have done in a similar manner, right? Now, after that, what it is going to do? It is going to increase our I value again. So it will be what? I is equal to 4. So I will just write here what? I is equal to 4 and here 4 is less than or is equal to 4. So here it is going to be what? It is going to be true, okay? Because 4 is equal to 4. Since it is 4 is equal to 4, it is going for our J loop execution, right? So I will just write it here like this, okay? Because it is going to be the same, correct? So I'll just write here what? J is equal to 1. 1 is less than or is equal to 4. It is going to be true, okay? After that, our if condition is going to execute. So what is our J value? It is 1. And then we have what? Less than or is equal to n means 4. And then minus, and what is our I value right now? It is 4, okay? So that means 4 minus 4 is nothing but our 0, okay? Now let us test the condition. 1 is less than 0, no. 1 is equal to 0, no. Therefore, here we are going to get what? False. And therefore, finally, we are printing inside this what? 1 star, okay? After that, what it is going to happen? Our J value is going to increase again. So, I will write here what? J is equal to 2. 2 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if we know that it is going to be true, correct? So here we are going to write what? 2 is less than 0. No, 2 is not is equal to 0. Therefore, it will be false and it is going to give me one more star. Similarly, when J is equal to 3, what will happen? This condition is going to be true, right? And here the condition is going to fail, correct? Because 3 is not less than 0, not is equal to 0. So one more star we will get, right? And here I'll just put here what? J is equal to 3. After that, what will happen? Again, our J value is going to increase. So J is equal to 4 and 4 less than or is equal to 4, right? And here we are going to put what? 4. Now here also, if we test the condition, it is going to fail. And therefore, one more star we are going to get, okay? Now, after that, what it will happen? It is going to increase our J value after this. So I will just write here what? J is equal to what? 5 we are going to write, and here it will be what? 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if you see, the condition is failing because 5 is not less, not is equal to, and therefore we are going to write here what? False, and here itself our loop is going to terminate, okay? And in our str variable, what it is going to concatenate? It will be concatenating 4 times stars, right? There is no spaces. If we can go and check, here we have clearly written print 4 stars and print 0 spaces. So that is what we have done here. Now, after that, what it is going to happen? Our I value is again going to increase and it will become 5, right? So I'll just write here what? I is equal to 5 and 5 is less than or is equal to 4, correct? Now 5 is not less than 4, right? Nor it is equal to 4. So it is going to be false. And here it is going to terminate our loop. So I will write here what? Termination of the loop is going to happen. And that is our end of our loop. And finally, after this, what we are going to do? We are going to print our str variable. That is what it is going to give our final output, okay? Now, since we have understood each and everything, right? We have understood how many columns and rows we have. We have understood what will be our I loop and J loop. We have understood our entire structure, right? And we have also understood what will be the working, correct? So each and everything we have understood. Now let us come down and we will proceed with our function. So before that, I will just open our new terminal here. And to the left hand side now, let us start writing our function. So I will write here what? Our function, and our function name will be what? Print pattern, parenthesis, flower braces, and here we are just going to invoke it. Print pattern, and we will pass here 4 as an argument, okay? And here we will receive it here as an n as an parameter, and we are just going to console it. So console.log of n I will write here, and now let us come here and we will write here what? Node 10 pattern.js. We are getting here 4. That means whatever we are passing it from here, it is able to receive and we are able to print, okay? After that, I will declare here what? Let str is equal to our empty quotes. We are initializing with that. Now let us write our nested loop. So I will write here what? For let I is equal to 1, I is less than or is equal to n, okay? And I plus plus, then flower braces, and then here for let j is equal to 1 and then j is less than or is equal to n and our j plus plus. Okay. After that, we are going to write our if condition for printing the spaces and then for printing our star also. So we will write here what if and we will write here what j is less than or is equal to n minus of I. Okay. And we will write here what flower braces and in that str plus is equal to space. Okay. Now let us come to our else part and we are going to write here what str plus is equal to our double quotes and inside that I am going to write here what star. Okay. Now let us come down and we are going to, after this execution, we are just going to print our str, okay, to see what we are getting. So I will write here what console.log of str, okay. Now let us see it in the terminal. So I will write here what node 10 pattern.js. We see we are getting here both our star and spaces, but it is in a same line, okay. So for that, what we have to do, after our this J loop execution, we are going to concatenate here with our next line also, right? So str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n, okay? Now, if we just clear this terminal and if we rerun it, node 10 pattern.js, we are going to get our exact pattern. But here, one more line we are getting it here, right? So if I use now the trim method, we have used our trim method in our previous videos, right? So if I use our trim method, what it is going to happen? Let us see now. So I will just write here what node 10 pattern.js. So if you see in the output, we are getting here what our spaces removed. But what it has done, it has removed the starting spaces also and after that spaces also, right? So that is why we cannot use this trim method. So we are going to use another method of trim, that is trim end. So what this trim end will do, it will only remove the spaces after our string ends, okay? So we will just write here what node 10 pattern.js and if we see now, we are getting here exact output, okay? Now we will just comment this console.log of n, okay? And we are just going to clear here the terminal. So I will write here what CLS and we will write here what node 10 pattern.js and hit enter. We are going to get here our exact output, right? So if you check here, it is the same pattern which it was been asked and we have got the same, okay? Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question, okay? So what it was been asked, we have to print here what? The following pattern and this should be the particular output, correct? Then we came down and we wrote here our important part of that question and we also wrote here what our function name and we understood that it pattern is what right angle triangle and it is to the right, correct? Then we wrote our approach, correct? So what we did, we came here and we created an str variable for holding the final output, right? Then we wrote here what? Our nested loops. And we understood how many rows we have, how many columns we have, how many stars it is holding, how many spaces it is holding, right? Then we came down here as well. We understood that what will be the start point, what will be the end point. We also understood that yes, we will have to print the spaces and stars conditionally, right? For that, we wrote this particular condition, right? Then we came down and we wrote our for loop structure and inside that we have seen very clearly that when we have to concatenate our space, when we have to concatenate our star, correct? And then here finally what we have done, we have concatenated next line also so that after each J loop execution, it should go to the next line and then it should go to our I loop, right? That is what we have done. Then we came down and we wrote here what print str variable because after the execution, we have to print our final str variable for the output. And then we came down and we understood the working, correct? What will happen when I becomes 1? What will happen when I becomes 2, 3, 4 and 5? When I becomes 5, it is going to terminate the loop, right? And we are going to get our final value, that is our output, right? Then we also understood for our J loop execution that how it is printing our spaces and stars conditionally, right? For each of them, we have seen this very nicely, correct? We came down and we wrote our function print pattern where we were passing n as an parameter. Then we consoled here our n, we declared here our str variable and we initialized with an empty string. Then we wrote our nested loop. Here we concatenated when it is going to be true, and we concatenated here what space. Here we concatenated with our start because it is going to be false. And then line number 89, what we did, we concatenated here next line, that is our backward slash of n. So after each J loop execution, it should come here what, to our down. Okay. So after that, we just consoled here what, our str using our trim end method, right? Why we used here trim end method? Because we wanted to remove the spaces after the string, right? Not before the string. If we were removing before the string, then it was removing the spaces also, right? So therefore we used here what, trim end method. Let us check it in the execution one more time. So I will write here what, node 10 pattern.js, and if we see, we are getting our exact output, right? This is what it was needed, and we have done the same. Okay. So I want you all guys, please try this out. Also, after that, you can experiment with the different values of n and let me know the results in the comments. Okay. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more programming tutorials. And I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep coding, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.